Well, thank you, Ellen, for your important role today and for making sure this all happens the way we need to make sure it happens, that is efficiently, a bit like what we're trying to do with our planning system. Can I welcome all of you here today? I also acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and thank them for their custodianship, but I also thank you. The people in the room today, I think you can probably sense already the sense of energy in the room. It's really exciting for me as the Minister for Planning to have the opportunity to make a real difference to how New South Wales will evolve into our future. We have a problem, we have a challenge. We have the lowest housing starts in 50 years. We have community groups who feel that they are not engaged in the processes of planning. We have environmental groups, and I think in a sense we're all environmentalists these days. We all want to make sure that we have our environment protected. We have people representing the environment groups here today who want to ensure that we have a planning system that reflects those concerns. We have people who have advocacy roles in terms of preserving our agricultural lands. And I have the challenge of making sure that we have a planning system that works for the whole of New South Wales. It's one heck of a challenge, but it's fun. It's exciting, and the fact that we've now got so far in such a short period of time since we came to government 18 months ago, I think is a pretty strong indication of our commitment to ensuring that we really do have the best planning system in the world, not just in Australia. Now, recently, in fact last week, the Director General and I and Tim Robertson, who many of you in the room would know as my Senior Policy Advisor, took an 8-day burst, I would call it, to Canada and to the USA. It was extremely hectic, but it was also very helpful. We visited Vancouver, we visited Seattle in Washington State, and we visited Portland in Oregon. We also, crazily as it seems, took a 48-hour burst across to New York to talk to the planners in New York. And what we came back with was some really inspirational, energetic ideas that took us a few extra steps beyond what you saw in the Green Paper. In the Green Paper, we identified particularly the Vancouver work and the Seattle work and the Oregon work as being work that we had seen was worth looking into and trying to see if it was applicable to New South Wales. The messages that came back, particularly from the West Coast, were that to be transformative, you need to make sure that you have maximal community engagement. The community has to own what we're all trying to achieve here. That is absolutely a cornerstone for what the government wants to do, what I want to do as the Planning Minister. And I think, having spoken to many of you in the room now over the last either 18 months or indeed the previous few years of when I was the Shadow Minister, I think that that's what we all want to achieve. Now, I invited, interestingly, I don't know that this often happens, but I invited members of Parliament from all sides to attend this forum. And there were, I think, a number of exceptions, not a lot, but enough to have some representation from other areas. So I thank Jamie Parker from the Greens. Is Jamie around? Has he made it yet? Or? Well, he's coming anyway. So I thank Jamie, Richard Torbay. I also thank Paul Green, Greg Piper, and Jan Barham. Is Jan Barham here from the Greens yet? Somewhere. Greg Piper's here. Good. Thank you, Greg. Lake Macquarie, all the way from Lake Macquarie, he got here on time. But thank you anyway, Greg, for coming along. Ladies and gentlemen, today is about drawing from the energy and the intellect and the knowledge that's in the room. But I do just want to say a couple of things, and it's only going to be quick because I want to get on with the main game, which is listening and learning from you. Reforming the planning system is a major priority of this government. You all know that. And we've been doing it as openly and as honestly and as transparently as we can. And that is, I think, where we need to get with our planning system. The planning system needs to be transparent. It needs to absolutely maximise the opportunities for public participation and community engagement. It has to be efficient. It has to be outcomes-based and flexible, but it has to have some clear guidelines and checks and balances. It has to have, as a primary focus, the facilitation of sustainable growth and sustainable development. And it must promote the conservation and protection of ecological and high-value natural resources and biodiversity. And of course, as I keep telling the Department of Planning, nobody here is the font of all wisdom. I think under the former government there was a sense that perhaps the centralised approach was the way to go. The message that I have conveyed to my colleagues across the entire Department of Planning and Infrastructure that I work with now is that we are not the font of all wisdom. We are partners with a whole array of other people to achieve the outcomes that we need to achieve for the state, and not least of which is local government. There are 152 councils across this state. We need to ensure that whatever processes we put in place, we are working with and have the confidence of local government. But I would just like to say one small thing about that. Last week, no matter where we went on the West Coast, so Oregon, Seattle, Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington State, and Vancouver, what we found was that the best and most productive outcomes are when councils, they don't call them councils necessarily there, but the local government areas work together, not just as standalone areas. They have to work together. It is a regional approach. It must be a regional approach. And of course, the message they gave back to me was, but you also have to understand as a provincial government, if it's Canada or state government, is that we have to find ways to make sure that delivery of infrastructure coordinates with the growth that the local government, effectively the counties there, are wanting to achieve. Ladies and gentlemen, this is one more step, it's a vital step in where we are heading with our new planning regime for New South Wales. I can't tell you, I am genuinely, absolutely excited about where we've got to and where we are likely to get to. But I will not have a situation where we do not have full engagement across the board, which is why right from the word go, whilst I've had the development industry in the room, there have also been the environment groups in the room. There have been those who represent all sides, all spectrum, all parts of the spectrum. This is a community challenge. We need bold solutions for a substantial community problem. I thank you all for what you are going to do today in the next mighty step that we take in this bold path that we're taking. And I can assure you that I want to make sure that we have our new system in place as soon as humanly possible. I would still like to see, and I've had some say, well, do you really think this is possible? But I would really want to see the white paper concluded, the white paper stage concluded this year. In other words, in the next 2 months, I want to see the white paper and the draft bill out for more discussion, 3 months or so over the Christmas New Year period. And if I can, depends a bit on how far we get with the community involvement. If the community says to me, well, no, we still need to do some more work, I'll look at it. But my path at this stage is full speed ahead to bring in new legislation early next year. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your contribution. I hope you're as excited as I am, because this is a great opportunity to really make sure New South Wales has a fantastic future. Thank you very much.